HwangSin versus NightEnD.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think that NightEnD is going to take it. HwangSin is definitely good, but I feel that he's not really a player that stands out. Even though he managed to go to the NASL Season 2 finals, which is impressive, where he lost in the first round 3-1 against Hero back then. Of course, absolutely no shame in losing to a Hero. But I don't know, I just think that NightEnD currently, with all his training in Korea, he suddenly is like sort of a hot issue. NightEnD has always been one of those one in a dozen Protoss players. But now suddenly, after he's making some noise in the Korean ladder, people are like, wow, NightEnD, how on earth is he top 15 GM in Korea? Well, that's something I haven't really figured out either yet, but he's there, he's training really hard, and I think NightEnD should be able to win this best of 3.
I think it's going to be a little bit closer than you seem to be predicting, Kev. NightEnd's a great player, but I'm not sure that I'm ready to
jump on the NightEnD.
Yeah, like I like NightEnD a lot. He's a great guy, and if he watches this broadcast and he's hating on me, then I'm sorry, NightEnD, but I'm not.
How can
convinced.
he be watching this broadcast, man, when it's a live game?
Well, I mean, like tomorrow when it gets restreamed.
Ah, because that was just really confusing.
Fair enough. But what I mean to say is, NightEnd's he was really good, but like you said, he's always been like one of a dozen good European Protoss players. And while HwangSin's not necessarily any better, I think he's going to be a very tough challenge for NightEnD, and I think this will be a close series, but I think HwangSin's going to be the one that takes it.
Disagreeing a lot with me today, man.
Also, I have to get that point back that I lost in the Puma Hey-Pro game.
Well, that is true. I'm very curious to see how NightEnD is going to play this game. When NightEnD still lived in Europe and when I still lived in Europe, I played a lot of ladder, and NightEnD is one of those guys who just loves to play a lot of ladder as well. So we face against each other quite often, and I've always felt that like he's a better player than me, so he plays a very safe style, and that marks him, because that's what he always says as well. And it's really hard to play against a guy that you know that is better than you, but then also plays so safe that you can't really win by the coin flip of PvP, or that you can't punish him for being greedy. Then again, on the absolute highest level, where NightEnD is playing against guys that he's not necessarily better than, then he's sometimes digging his own grave just because he's overly safe and he's prepared for everything, but his build is not really good against anything in specific. And I want NightEnD to see, I want that he gets rid of that a little bit. I want to see him play a little bit more risky. Yes, he's a fantastic player. Yes, he can rely on his control, but you can't always do that. You can't play overly super safe. I mean, it's been crazy enough that we saw him do 3-gate robo expand against the Zerg just because he was confused with what he was doing. It's like, come on, NightEnD, you can't be that safe. No one can be that safe.
He seems to find a way to make it work, though. Like, even when he's like overdoing it, I often see him win games. I'm just like, how did you do that?
Wow, this is crazy. HwangSin going for a proxy robotics facility. And I told you a funny story once, man. I played a guy on ladder who did this exact same thing. And I found it, and I killed the probe, I killed the pylon, and I also killed the 2 stalkers that tried to save it. So he basically had a useless unpowered robot somewhere standing on the map. Then I tried to attack his base and I lost. Now I don't think that NightEnD would do the same thing if he would actually spot this, but this is something that's very hard to spot.
NightEnD just killed the automaton, and I think that's bad luck.
So I think HwangSin is going for the 4-gate Warp Prism all in. That's going to be interesting.
I don't think NightEnd's going to be expecting anything of the sort, though. He was up in HwangSin's base. They were doing pretty identical openings.
I think this is so smart by HwangSin, though. I mean, proxying the robo makes so much sense. So the Warp Prism doesn't have to fly across the map. You can just fly down over here. And of course, you can always warp in your units over here. This is quite brilliant. But if NightEnD spots it straight away, NightEnd's going to be fine. But NightEnD is getting a robotics facility and a Twilight console. I'm afraid that NightEnd's dead.
It's looking pretty grim. HwangSin's going to have to make a mistake here, but I mean, NightEnD. Even leaving his base.
This is so bad.
That's the last place you want to be, NightEnD.
But this is the thing right now. Like NightEnD would have been safe against pretty much everything, even though he's doing like just a little bit everything.
What?
He's getting a stalker.
Why is this stalker here?
He just warped it in, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be too many units right now in the main base of NightEnD. NightEnd's going to chrono boost out an Immortal straight away. Maybe if he pulls all the probes, but this is 6 units straight away. This is very smart by HwangSin. This pylon is a little bit too late, but I don't think that's going to matter. NightEnD has to go right now, man.
Yes, and he does, and he's going to do just that. Pulling these probes, you know, try to fight with the warp in. Stalkers and sentries trying to focus the prism, but that doesn't matter at all because there is that other pylon and units giving the vision. HwangSin immediately takes game number 1. NightEnD knows that his goose is cooked.
Wow, that was a very quick game, and if there is such a thing as build order wins in Starcraft II, I think this is a prime example.
If you go Robo and Twilight Council off of just 2 Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, like, he would always be able to hold his ramp. Against any ramp aggression, he would be fine. The only thing that he wouldn't be able to be fine against is this. Then again, like, if HwangSin would have just done this in his base, by the time that Warp Prism actually arrives, he's going to have an Immortal out, and then if he pulls the probes, it's a whole different ball game in PvP. But yeah, I really like how HwangSin did this. But this kind of does give away what I think of HwangSin, though. Like, he's a good player, but he's also very, very gimmicky. He often does stuff like this. And I'm surprised that NightEnD would do both tech buildings with very few units. I guess he just felt like as long as I hold my ramp, nothing can happen.
I mean,
to
like
me.
you said, there was really only, literally, only one way for NightEnD to lose that game.
Straight away, at least.
Yeah, without making a mistake. And it was if the whole ramp was a foregone conclusion, as it is in the case of the Warp Prism 4-gate. So, cute moves by HwangSin. NightEnD goes down 0-1. Guys, that game was brought to you by Kingston HyperX, kingston.com, where you can check out their full line of SSDs and RAM. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with Game 2, HwangSin versus NightEnD.